Simple picture, simple question. 1890, lots of orphans, no parents, no adults. Sure, you could say, oh, it's just one of many orphanages and one of many pictures, but this is something normal.
These are clones. So they were cloning people in 1890. These were your now police officers and mayors and stuff like that. So they were cloning people and, mixing them around in our neighborhoods. And that's why I was trying to tell you to, you need to confiscate your own community because these are clones.
In the 19th century, question what happened to the adults? There's no event that describes all of a sudden the adults died in some event and then lots of kids were left behind. So, simple question orphans because of some event which is forbidden to speak about, or clones made artificially to repopulate the world in the 1800s after the reset of the previous humanity. And you mix this with the photos and pictures I've shown you, me and other YouTubers. Uncomfortable questions, isn't it? Well, it's not uncomfortable for me. For me, it's like wonderful, amazing, impressive. But considering the history of the 1800s and 1700s, and who did this, and the TV series and the movies like Westworld, they give you lots of
Westworld,
lots of answers about this. But I'm gonna leave it there because people then jump and they call you crazy conspiracy theorist inside of the basement of your grandpa. Take care.
Okay, now let's go here. I have to go make some
In the tribulation?
Okay,
Judgment?
here I have to show you this. Now, this guy is being followed by the clones and the reptilians and stuff that's following this man, and he is just showing you the truth. You know that these are reptilians, like the police officers that we see, and the people that are like the clones are your grocery store people that are not aware of what's going on. Those are your clones. But there are but the reptilians made these clones and your police officers that don't care. This is why you have to get to the mayor's office because the mayor office and the governor's office know what's going on. That these are clones.
Someone blew LAPD.
They are reptilians. They shapeshift from human form into lizard form. I saw this with my own eyes many, many times. Satanic scum!
Next to my office was another office, and I remember, I swear on a stack of Bibles, I remember a lizard man in that office. It was His Highness Draco something. I can't remember the other name.
The democracy in the United States was stolen a long time ago, Bill. Princeton already proved it. They did a study that we live in an oligarchy. That's not hyperbole. That's not some kind of cute thing or a clever saying or a glib fucking remark. That's a scientific fact that your democracy has been stolen from you, Bill, which is why 80% of workers live paycheck to paycheck. Half the country can't afford a $400 emergency, and workers haven't had a raise since 1980. That's why we still don't have health care like the rest of the world. We still don't have a living wage, and we have people living under every bridge. We don't live in a democracy, which is why we can send $100 billion to the most corrupt country in Europe, while we still don't take care of our own people and they go bankrupt when they get sick and live on the street. So we don't live in a democracy. This idea that somehow one party cares about democracy while the others doesn't. They both serve the same corporatocracy, which is what we live in, an oligarchy, corporate run by corporations. We now live, as Chris Hedges has explained, we've experienced a corporate coup d'etat in slow motion. And instead of having a dictator, the dictator has now been replaced with the nameless, faceless corporate state, which controls every part of our being. They control our free speech. They control what medical treatments we get to experience. They get to mandate us to have experimental medical. We don't live in a goddamn democracy. That was taken from you a long time ago. And this is just him repeating propaganda. And he's being dumb on purpose because he's wealthy. And he doesn't really have any problems he wants government to solve.
No, he's not wealthy. He's a reptilian. They turned this man into a reptilian. Wealthy means you're a reptilian because how did you get the money? How did all of these top agents get the money? Because you are a reptilian that stole shit. So just and they keep using this word like, oh well, he's wealthy. Yeah, you're a wealthy reptilian. You're a reptilian.
The reptilian infiltration into humanity is what's going on here. It's the issue. It's the pressing issue. You ask yourself, why this evil? It doesn't make any sense that people would even behave this way. They are taken over, both knowingly and unknowingly, by these reptilians, and also evil spirits that are not necessarily reptilian, although many of them are, otherwise known as demons. But you ask yourself, why the wars that don't make sense? Why the endless BS of our schools being corrupt? Pedophilia running rampant. Things that just doesn't make sense from a human point of view, because you're saying, wait, the chemtrails, they're spraying all this stuff, so-called geoengineering, and it's got aluminum and God knows what else, nanoparticles, stuff that's harmful, but they would be doing this to their own kids. Why? Why would they do it to their own kids? I mean, are they hiding out underground? Yeah, maybe. I think we know that from the scripture. Though they be hid underground, or though they dig into hell. So we know that they have underground places. And by the way, in case you are one of those people hiding underground, it'll be flooded out soon enough, because the scripture says the flood will come, and you don't want to be down there with no flood. So you're not going to be safe down there. The only safe place is in the righteousness with God. And if you don't have that, there'll be terror following you no matter what and no matter where you go. We gotta free ourselves from these reptilians. Okay? That's what's going on here. Our world is held captive. Okay? I was just listening to James Bartley talking about how what they do is they infiltrate. They get in using shape-shifting, pretending to be us. Reptilians, okay? They instill themselves in places of power, whether it's religion, whether it's politics, whether it's business. They insert themselves using advanced tools to corrupt, destroy, gain control, confuse, mess everything up, so that it's a crap hole of corruption. But they need us to carry it out. They need corrupt people. Don't you know? You sin, they eat. That's what the
Listen, if you sin, they eat. If you act like I'm telling you, if you're in the Hollywood system and you're okay with it, and you be like Emmett Till's mama where she said not to be like her, then you sin. You see, you sin against yourself when you become complacent, and then you want to use their money. When you use their money, you empower them. He's telling, he's just letting you know.
You sin, they eat. Now we gotta do something about this people not believing in shape-shifting reptilians living among us. Because until we learn as a people in general to understand that this is going on, they can always sneak up on us. They can always get in. They can always trick us and make things so that it's impossible to bust them, like control technology to the point where all flip camcorders like this I'm shooting on don't show the date anymore. You can't even do it.
You have to confiscate your property by downloading the proposal property confiscation notice to your local mayor, because they have to know that there is a crime is being committed and you have to be protected in your community. And this is why I'm showing you these videos here, to show you that these reptilians are amongst you all over where you're at in your community, and they have have harmed us in ways we can't even imagine, and you don't believe it, and that's why you sin. You sin against yourself because you don't believe, because you don't believe that like that's why I say Emmett Till's mother is a great example. Now I'm so happy that they're maybe making a movie about what happened to her, so everybody can understand, and she's gonna tell you, don't be like me, because when I said, oh, that's them crazy niggas over there, those are the gutter war people, my people fighting the reptilians that was coming off the shores of Florida. Because if you are killing people off the shores of Florida, why? How are you coming inland? You can't come inland into the community. You have to get back, and that's what they were fighting about, and that's what Emmett Till's mother and all of you people who are watching the sitting back doing nothing was saying. Oh, she just they just crazy. Everybody's Emmett Till's mama, because we're paying rent on our own land. You Emmett Till's mother. You are paying rent, food, and water. You're Emmett Till's mother because you going out to the club. Come on, bro, let's go to the club. How are you dancing and having fun in the middle of war? You have to pay rent on your own land. You have lost your mind. Like if you okay with with your son and daughter, they may be kidnapped when you send them out to go play or whatever, and you think, oh Lord, I hope they safe. Why live in a community where you have to think like that? God, I hope my kid is like, man, what kind of community you live in where you hope your kid is okay when they go outside your door? That's the problem. We have to keep our community safe so that when we send our kids outside, we don't have to worry about it, because everybody in our community we know personally. We know personally. We know people. We know personally. You see what I'm saying? And we grew up with them, and we grew up with them in school, and these are our friends and families and relatives. See, this is what happened. They separated us, and everybody around us is a snake. It's a snake.
Anymore. You have to look at your watch or something else. And then it gets rid of the evidence. It used to be you could prove right there on the screen what the date and time was, so that you could get evidence against these mothers doing things like the reptilian helicopters buzzing me all the time for exposing this. And they do it in other cases, not just one case, the control of technology, so that all the camcorders and stuff coming out of Japan and China, they won't show the date. The old ones do. You'll notice if you get the old ones, where you can insert the little tape, then you can set it so that the date shows up on the screen. Now I have to take a snapshot, and that's done on purpose so that you can't get.
I'll leave a link, but I want you to know that whoever's watching this is going to show this video to somebody, that I am the one that creates the promised land for everyone to travel in 7 to different promised land areas. In your area, 640 acres is yours, and it's proof, because by the United States a treaty commissioner had removed us, and states that, since we removed you, 640 acres is yours because we removed you. So if it's ours where we're at, then it is a crime for you to pay rent on your own land. It is a crime for them to even come to you and evict you out of your home when you are indigenous. They have to evict their own people, is what the proposal, is what the property confiscation notice is about, that you have to send to your local mayor. They have to know that, listen, you do the eviction bullshit and all that shot shit and all that food, all the shit that you do onto your people, onto your white people, Mexican, Chinese, and Arab people. You don't do that upon the indigenous people. You take that shit somewhere else, because 640 acres is ours. So shout out to Rod Hayes and young elder who showed the videos that we need to see, especially the videos that he showed. Man, he went in on that one, and I'm just so happy he did that. It made the wind just kick up something horrible because of my emotions when I seen that. But I'm glad that I saw it, because now, we're, every day we're going by, every day that goes by, it's increasing, in us getting our land back, because it's an abomination if they don't give it back, right? Okay, so let me.
Evidence of their child trafficking, child porno rings, which are really just a front. All that is just a front so that the reptilians can eat, because they prefer children, according to Alex Collier, a credible witness, and others like Peggy Kane and others who have reported about this. Okay, so they are eating people, and in order to keep doing this, they need to have a society of dumbed down, stupid, out of control, crazy idiots. And understand, this is one of the most important things about all this, it's a setup for people to sin, because God has set it up that way so that if you continue in sin, what happens is that gives them legality because he created them too. And he knew all this was going to happen. But the fact of the matter is that when we have people in charge now who are so sinful that they just let our society roll down to this moral morass of crap, and all these other pundits and people, and try and do the best they can and do right, but they won't talk about the reptilians who are behind it all.
He lives in Calabasas, where Yates lives, where Kim Kardashian lives at. So he lives over there. That's what he's talking about. This is where, because I'm over in Chino, California, and over the hills is where Snoop Dogg and all his people lives, over in Chino Hills. So I'm trying to confiscate my right here, my 640 acres here, to build a huge tree that I used to live at, and they turned into the prison of Alcatraz. Shout out to Rod Hayes. Now I'll leave a link about what he broke down on that. This was used to be a huge tree in California, and the reptilians cut it down, and they did that. So this is why we have to get back to where we come. Where before they came here, we have to get back to that, right? So it's just important that we get back to that, because she spliced an animal that kills the reptilians, that eat the reptilians. And so where did her animals go? Well, I hear that they're underground, and he speaks of that too, that they're coming up to the surface.
Saying this for a long time, man. They are behind it. And until we wake up to that fact, they can keep on tricking us. Reptilians. It's a fact. Can you explain this picture? Show a picture of Harrison Ford in Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner. Slow it down, bathroom scene in the dark. You can prove it for yourself. How do you get this image if there's no reptilians? People don't realize. The news, it's controlled by reptilians. The schools, the education system, the colleges, the entire curriculum, it's controlled by the reptilians. Lizard men with tails and big teeth, and they eat human flesh and blood. Yeah, you would shit your pants if you saw one of these things in person, but they're all around us. But they're in the minority. If all of humans were suddenly to wake up, they would be in some deep doo-doo. That's why I'm trying to wake people up, because their evil has just gotten out of control. I mean, we cannot live with this in our societies anymore. We've got to do something. They control the governments. They control the media. They have advanced tools of mind control.
Okay, those things are real. Those things are real. Okay, now what's coming to devour them is Planet Nibiru. Okay, because they're coming around. And now I need to leave you another link on who it breaks that down on why they are terrified of Planet Nibiru, because that's the planet, that what you would call the Christ. That's what you would call, if a Christ was to come and to get rid of the evil, it would be Planet Nibiru. It's something like that. This is what he explained, and it just seems like that, And so, yeah, but I'm gonna leave a link on that. But he even breaks down other things.
Reptilians that eat people. Wake up. It's real. It's not a freaking story from some nut job you're watching on YouTube. We're getting eaten here. We're getting our societies fucked up so bad that nobody can even see straight or think straight or do a damn thing about it, and that's what they like, so that they don't have to worry.
Okay, he's just one out of hundreds that's saying the same thing. I just picked him out of hundreds. But there's another woman. Her name is Tamara. She's the one that breaks down and says that Yi is she's the one that predicted what Yi is, but I'm saying that Yi and Kyrie is the two witnesses that's written in the Bible because that's what it just seemed like. You have to be a victim in there to be a witness. You got to be a victim, and you have to come out alive, screaming what's going on with you. Because if you don't tell, just like Emmett Till's mother said, if you don't tell the truth to your enemy with your whole family, that's why Bruce got his beach back. Bruce's beach is indigenous man. His whole family got his beach back right here in Manhattan, California, Manhattan Beach, California, because he went to Governor Gavin Newsom. Like I was telling you, send those property confiscations to Governor Gavin Newsom because he's have to give the $4 trillion to Lori Lightfoot to give us our beach. Because why, Governor Gavin Newsom, you give only one man one beach when you know you removed him from his land? He the only indigenous man that lost his land. So Bruce is the only one, the only indigenous person in the whole entire United States. Whoops. Come 2024, and I think way sooner than that. I think it's going to be like, this maybe as soon as January, like I said, because they the one made the Safety Act, right? The Safety Act law where you can threaten, kidnap, and murder any public official that threatens your life. And we're talking about reptilians here.
They're leeches. They live off of us. They live off of our labor, off of our kids, off of our ignorance, off of our pain and suffering.
Okay, now when he said, now you might say, well, this is a white man talking and da da da. See, listen, Trump's wife, the one that they murdered, the first one, was from Yugoslavia. She was the main one kidnapping the kids from Yugoslavia, yes, and letting the reptilians eat them. That's why she's so powerful and rich and met his ass. Because she was the head of the trade, the what do you call that trade? Because why did they murder her all of a sudden? And why she's in Yugoslavia with all them kids and with all her kids? What you been doing when they was kidnapping? Yugoslavia children have been kidnapped. Look at his videos, please, and then you will see why everybody around us is just snakes. Just like in Harry Potter, Ron Weasley said, treacherous little bleeder. Is there no one you can trust? You see what I'm saying? Where I have to take the Demote road, like Aragorn did in The Lord of the Rings. He had to contact people like Lori Lightfoot. You have to take the Demote road to get some help here. You got to go to another criminal organization to wake up the criminal organization to get to the worst organization. Hey, Lori Lightfoot, you might want to get a hold of this property confiscation here so we can be safe, so we won't be able to go into your shit and rip your ass up, because you have to do the right thing, Lori Lightfoot, because you got a lurch next to you that's in your ear, like on Lord of the Rings. You better watch Lord of the Rings. Aragorn and that Gandalf have to go there and rescue the king because it was a lurch that was next to him whispering in his ear. Don't listen to the people. Don't listen to the people out there. Just listen to me. Just stay here in this house and be a corrupted old man. That's Lori Lightfoot. She's a decrepit old man and she got a lurch next to her in her ear. Telling her, and Lori is indigenous to the land. You better listen to me. You better get rid of that lurch that's next to you, Lori, because it's going to happen just like in the Queen of England, where the Queen of England was talking about their peasants and told them, oh, just have cake. Remember that? Oh, just have cake. What happened after that? They stormed the palace and ripped up the family and all the kids. The little baby that was sick, they ripped that baby up. They didn't care about that damn baby. There was 7 kids up in there. They didn't care about him and the baby.
They're all in on it because they feed off of us.
Our human spirit is corrupted. Why do we worship greed? Because outside the limit of our sight, feeding off us, perched on top of us from birth to death, are our owners. Our owners. They have us. They control us.
And that warrior Draco basically picked me up and dragged me as a kid into his room on the ship and raped me for basically dishonoring him, as his perspective was. and basically I got raped into unconsciousness. So it would be the school, and then there would be a playground, and then there would be this church that was behind it. So there was one day the door was open, and I walked up the steps into this church and walked in, and there was these. I did an image, but basically there was these 3 reptilians that were there, and they were holding a chalice, and they were talking back and forth with whoever this. I think it was like a pastor or whatever, but they were basically doing a blood ritual. They were drinking blood and stuff. And these reptilians saw that I walked in, and they were like, "Hey," they were like, "Have them leave," or basically they were talking about eating me next.
Satanic scum! I need your help here, guys. No one pays you for this shit.
They don't.
All right.
I don't even put my cash
Help
up
me
on
out.
here.
Go to my site.
I don't put my cash up on here because they don't pay you. I don't care about it. I just want you to send those paper, just send the documents that I have to your local mayor so that they can contact me so we can start to have the promised land in Chino and in Chicago. Lauren Parker is supposed to be helping me, and I have to go because my baby. Isis, my mighty Isis. Okay, so I'm gonna go and so just watch the video and make sure you look at the property confiscations and then send it to your local mayor. Okay.